Good evening, folks. This is Deb, Dave, and Laura, and this is the Factivist Report for Sunday, the 16th of February. And we're here to tell you that we are driving this bus, and we are not the bozos on the bus. So I'm going to turn this over to Dave.
Okay, so hello everybody. At this point, everyone should understand at least partially what is going on. Donald Trump is flooding the zone with all sorts of happy horse shit. And you can use that as a title, Deb. With all sorts of nonsense. It's called flooding the zone. The red, white, and blue land instead of Greenland. They're talking about buying Greenland. They're, the Gulf of America, the this, that, the other thing. All the crazy nonsense, all the crazy cabinet positions, blah, blah, blah. A lot of this is designed to drive you crazy, put you in all sorts of different directions. Deb and I went through this in Trump 1.0. And we wanted to show all of you, including you, Laura. Hi, Laura. Say hi, Laura.
Hello.
And show from our experiences, kind of show you what we do and how we outreach and our tips on what to look for and how to look for local groups in your area, depending on what you need. And start with you and what affects you and what affects your family. And then you can move out. But if you're just starting out,
I just
yes.
want to say one thing before we move on. I don't want to imply, though, that Trump 2.0 isn't dangerous.
Oh, absolutely
because
not.
he is. And I don't want to imply that his cabinet appointments aren't very different than Trump 1.0, because they are
They
very
absolutely are. They absolutely are.
Those cabinet appointments in his first administration provided guardrails for some of his worst instincts. These people that he is now floating and putting into cabinet positions are there to destroy the systems that we have come to rely on. And they cannot be considered just clowns. They are,
No.
They're dangerous clowns. They're Pennywise, not Bozo. Okay.
Right. But
They're,
if you worry about every single one of them at the same time,
yeah,
you will
you'll make
drive
yourself
yourself
crazy.
crazy. Yeah. So
100%.
By the way,
focus
to
on
that end,
two
to
issues.
that end, Kash Patel is probably going to have his final Senate vote
Yeah,
this coming week. Everybody needs to contact their
absolutely.
legislators. Everybody needs to start
Absolutely.
on Monday. Okay, I don't care if they're Republican or Democrats. They need to hear from you, regardless of what happens. You need to make your voice heard.
So, okay, let's and there are uh certain quote unquote uh big issues that I would say everybody should get involved with. Anything having to do with the budget, anything to do with Doge, anything to do with civil rights. Those are non-starter. You're not going to argue with people about, well, maybe these people can do with a few less civil rights.
No.
Pardon me. So let us begin. Uh, as I said, this is from the Associated Press a few days ago from Will Weissert, Josh Boak, and Lindsay Whitehurst. This is basically them talking about uh, flooding the zone.
By
But
the
the
way,
issue, yeah,
AP is one of the few news sources not bending Anita Trump.
right.
So
Good.
we want to acknowledge that.
And I'm already hearing people bashing AP.
Of course they are.
They've been corrupted, all that kind of. stuff. So I'm just saying.
Of course. Anything good that might support anything against this crazy agenda, they're against it.
Right.
Now, I'm not a huge New York Times fan by any stretch of the imagination. This is a decent article, though. Decent opinion piece by M. Gesson. The barrage of Trump's awful ideas is exactly what it's supposed to do, which is pull you in this direction, pull you in that direction.
Yep. Confusion so that you don't know which way to be focusing.
Correct.
So I live on Long Island. My congressional district is Congressional District 2. I know it's not professional. I know it's not mature, but I call I'm not going to show the picture of him. You can take a look. My affectionate nickname for him is Ferret Face, because he looks like a ferret. I mean, what do you want me? What do you want? Or Weasel Face. Andrew Garbarino. He is one of those people in that article, Deb, where they denied that Biden won.
Yeah. Well,
He's one of them. So here's why I'm going to tell you right now. You need to write your representative. If your representative gives you a bogus answer, this is what you do, especially if you are a content creator. Okay, so I was like, okay, this is I'm going to give you context. Andrew Garbarino was one of the House representatives to say that the Matt Gaetz report needed to be released. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Release a report on Trump. Andrew Garbarino basically gave the answer, well, you can't use it anyway because Trump can do whatever he wants because of the Supreme Court decision. Okay. BS answer. However, it's an answer. All right. So there you go. As you know, in Trump versus the United States, a 6-3 majority Supreme Court justices ruled in favor of Trump. He can do what he wants, basically. So now someone else wrote a letter or an email to Rep. Garbarino about Elon Musk. Deb, you'll get a kick out of this. Dear, etc. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts on Elon Musk. I always appreciate hearing from my constituents and value your input on the issues that matter to you. Never mind the fact that I don't know one time that someone's actually said they've seen him in his office. So how he hears people, whatever. I understand the importance of this issue to you and others in our community. It is an honor to represent you in Congress, where my focus remains on delivering results for New York's 2nd Congressional District. Ensuring accessibility and responsiveness to those I serve is among my highest priorities, and I remain committed to advocating for the needs of our community. Rest assured, I'll keep your thoughts in mind. What is that called in advertising terms, Deb?
bullshit.
Yes.
I'll
Bullshit.
keep your thoughts in mind.
That's a non-answer. That's a non-response.
That's he basically said that he's going to focus on where he's at only, and I'll think about what you said.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
That
doesn't do anything for anybody.
Yeah, he's Trump's boy.
Yeah,
he's one of Trump's water boys.
It's very evident in that response there.
Right. So, Laura and I met. She posted a video. It was an emotional video. I responded to it. We connected, and all the time we talked, and she also was able to talk to Deb, and then we planned this for a while. And Laura and I yesterday, we looked at a few things in terms of her state. one of the biggest issues that we are going to have, and we're going to talk about it at the end of the video, is the budget. Money is supposed to be spent for us, the citizens, the people, the public. This is another Associated Press article about the Arizona budget. Now there are a lot of cuts in here. Laura, this will be up on YouTube. You can take a look at it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, I'm gonna give the floor to Laura in a minute. She has a lot of issues in terms of women's issues, women's rights, and she will give you her story in a moment. But this is actually a group in Phoenix that anyone who is having women's issues, that you can talk to them. I believe they're a peer group, but it'll be up here. And here is kind of, I don't know what's going on. Hold on. There we go. You gonna let me scroll up? You gonna let me scroll up? I don't know what all that nonsense is. Okay. So 4B, 5B, 6B, I believe it's up to at least 7B.
It is.
Yeah. So is there any more B's? I I did one where it's like, no, 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 no. So Laura, explain the this movement a little bit, and if you can explain why you got involved and all of that. And this doesn't just have one element to it. I'm just starting to get introduced to it. So take it
No
away,
worries.
Laura.
I've got your back. So first, I'll explain exactly what it is. I took a few notes because it's after 4B, I was going, oh my goodness, okay, we got to remember all these. But we're doing it in our lives already. That's the thing. First, the 4B started out no heterosexual dating, sexual relations, marriage, or childbirth. This was to decenter the patriarchy, get them off our back. And basically what everyone was saying was, well, can't build your future without children, and we are demanding our rights. We're also demanding that we be treated like human beings. And until then, or maybe permanently, we're done. Right. That's an individual choice. It was a choice. And what they've done since
choice
then,
most of my life.
I feel that in my soul, friend. Okay. I'll tell you right now, I've never been married by choice. And I'll tell you right now, I'm so glad I never did for reasons I thought I would never have to have. They're taking away, or they're making it like you have to have your your name and everything match your birth certificate. You have to have, it's too much. Yep. So, and then we're expanding this because it's needed. That's the 4B became 7B. The 5B was help others become 4B. Right. Bring people to the movement.
Right.
Okay.
Explain what it's about. And then 6B, don't give your emotional labor to men.
Okay. Now I noticed in this one it's talking about demand what you're worth, basically, in terms of employment negotiation.
Yes. Absolutely. And yes, and that's the whole basis of everything is our rights, is our say, is our voice is being lost. Trump I don't even know how many years he's just launched us backwards. I don't even really want to think about how far back we've just gone. So I feel like this is us putting our foot down and saying, hell no, we're not going to go there. It's not happening.
I just saw, the headline of an article somewhere, and I honestly haven't looked at it yet because I've been busy today, but it was something to the effect of you know, it's like the American Taliban telling women to be quiet
Right.
and and take what they get, basically. So I've
And
got to go back and look at that article, but
Absolutely.
that is actually where we're headed here, no matter how many people want to look at this. And women who carry Trump's water, the Megyn Kellys, the Tulsi Gabbards, they're all fascists. So they're all in good,
100%. Without question. And then also, just to wrap it up, the last one is don't shop at the misogynistic stores. The one example they did give was Nike. There's a lot more than that. I wanted to push that a little bit further, and I'm saying don't contribute to any store that contributes to anything that is killing democracy. If they
Right.
contributed
right.
to the Trump administration, don't shop there.
Right.
Period. So
If they some of them even if supported Project 2025.
100%. Oh, 100%. All of it across the board. Anything you can think of that will progressively push us the way we need, then we need to be doing that or not doing that, whichever it is, excluding whichever direction it needs to go. We need to stop everything.
Yep.
Even if you can stop contributing to the system, period, and you can start farming, wonderful. Not all of us can do that.
Right.
But that ideally would be the best. But, people like myself will not be able to do that. So this is the best way. Yeah.
I will take it one step farther. If
Good.
you know of someone, J.D. Vance, for instance, someone who is misogynistic, let's say he was a Democrat. Let's say you find a Democrat out there that says something stupid about women. Don't vote for him. Don't vote for him. You see somebody who's abusive to women, don't vote for him. And by the way, I'm going to say it right out. Richie Torres. All right. That's a guy that I will not support because of his, attitude towards women and how I've seen him talk to women on X. You can disagree with somebody, but no, you cannot talk to people like that. So that's just me, but
I'm pretty close to being done with John Fetterman.
I know.
I think they need to primary him.
Really?
Get rid of him.
Now, there are other organizing groups. There's the Working Families Party. There's Move On. Indivisible is kind of all-encompassing right now. And the two people heading it are congressional staffers. So if you want to start, this is a gateway group. It has tons and tons of groups in, I believe, pretty much every state. So I gave this to Laura, and you find out what your district is. I believe Laura's in 3.
Yep, that's
right.
right.
And then you go from there.
Exactly. And you can look it up online, everybody. Look up who you need to call. If you need help, you know what? Honestly, I would not. You can reach out to me. I can help guide a little bit, at least help you find what you need so that you can make those phone calls. And I want to mention this app, but I can't remember the name, and I'm on the phone that I need to look at it. But it's like called the 5 Calls, I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, 5 Calls.
Okay, thank you. I'm really new. I haven't used it yet. This coming week, that is my goal. This week is I'm going to be getting on there and utilizing that app so that we can get some stuff done. But yeah, just anything you can find, anyone you can reach out to, don't hesitate. Do it now. Right. We're already so waist deep in this crap here. We need to get.
We're just 3 weeks into this administration, and
we're waist deep.
It is. It's unbelievable.
So
Laura, it's filling up.
Yeah.
I appreciate you giving the offer for help, but I know you know this, but I will tell people who want to start reaching out, vet your contacts and vet your potential networking partners. Okay, vet them, and if they show you any red flags at all, cut it off. It's not worth your time to spin your wheels with somebody, argue with them, Okay. If they're willing to work with you, great.
Fabulous.
If they're not, it's okay. It's okay.
Can't make progress if they're not willing to participate. If we're arguing and standing still, that's what we're going to do. We're going to stand still.
Right.
Can't get anything done standing still.
So from there, Laura and I, we took a look at her district's DNC page. Happens to be her DNC page. This is Maricopa County. Now, remember, I believe that Kerry Lake screeched this county out like a friggin', pterodactyl all the time. So that may be why you heard of this county. Okay, the next thing. When Laura and I were talking, there were a couple things we talked about. We talked about SNAP, I believe, and we talked about the child tax credit. And Laura actually contacted her senator in terms of the child tax credit in 2022. Apparently, there was a news story. Nobody can find it anymore. They probably just scrubbed it because it was like a local news thing and it's old, blah, blah, blah. But here's information on the child tax credit. So, Laura, could you just briefly talk about your experiences with that for a second?
Yeah, the child tax credit, they were trying to get rid of it. And we went down to Mark Kelly's office. I went down with Work Money. It's a group that actually fights for the working people. I love them, by the way. We just went down there. We talked to one of the secretaries there. He was not available himself. I will say she was very attentive. She wanted to hear what we had to say. She was taking very extensive notes, which I was appreciative of that. So that's another thing. You don't just have to call them. You can schedule something and you can go down there and you can have a sit down. It might not be with like Mark Kelly himself, but that's okay. The bottom line is, if you've got enough people and you're going down there, you're talking to people, you can save things like the child tax credit, which, by the way, it wasn't just on your taxes. They had a way that you were getting it monthly. It was $250. It's like above 6 and below 6 years old, 6 and below, it was $300 a month. And I'm going to tell you right now, they do not realize how much that saves people like myself, single mothers. So yeah, that's what we were going down there for. And it's a prime example of what we need to be doing now. And we do not have time to wait. No. Everything. It is of the essence. It is, if we sit on our hands, what Trump and his lackeys are doing is nigh. It's coming. So get to their offices, make the phone calls. If you can't go down anymore, like myself, if you're disabled, that's okay. You can still make the phone calls. You've got that, the 5-call app. There's other resources that we can be utilizing right now to actually assist in stopping the madness.
Petition.org. There's all sorts of different ones at this point. And I want to also just kind of reiterate this. We heard this a little while ago. Mitt Romney saying that the GOP is now the party of the working class.
Well, yeah,
Elon Musk.
If you're a billionaire,
party, right?
Yeah, you betcha. For billionaires, you got that right. Not for us.
Look,
I remember little Mitt. I do. Not fondly, but I remember him. Yep. He was my governor for 8 fucking years. Yep.
Jesus Christ. This is what would happen if the Republicans get everything they want. Okay.
Can't let that happen.
Nope.
We cannot let that happen. Absolutely not. So yeah, we need to pull together this, this is 3 people, 3 prime examples of what networking does, and we can spread the word. So there's things that we can be doing over and above the things that we've even mentioned. And if there's more, this is what networking is for. So other people can give ideas. Yep. Even there was a lady from Korea that was talking about make strikes a part of your life. It's not a one-off.
Right.
You continue them and continue and continue until you get what you need done. So
Right.
make it a part of your life. Make it something that you schedule often, because
So
if we don't, it does nothing.
let me say something that I've noticed, all right? Because Dave, as you know, I have a radio station, right?
Yep.
And under that name that I use for my radio station, which is FT Della Piana, we had the strikes and boycotts group, which kind of died, right? It kind of
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
we couldn't even get anyone to boycott Amazon. This was back in 2016, 2017. Okay.
Right.
Jesus word.
I have just noticed, just by going to my page to do my radio station stuff in the morning, support strikes and boycotts has 9 new views. Well, that's all of a sudden because that's been
Right.
dead for 5 years, literally.
Right.
So
Right.
now I'm thinking we take that baby out of mothballs
There
and
you
do
do it.
something with
Yeah.
it.
That exactly.
possible.
That's a good idea, because it's relevant right now.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden people are looking at that thing and writing me messages.
People are starting to wake up now.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what happens when the knife gets stuck in your back.
Several of them at once, really.
Right.
Also, one thing that I would like to do is have people share their response letters from their representatives, positive or negative,
Loads.
positive or negative, and share them online, and kind of like what Musk did with Twitter. Use it as free advertising for people.
Right.
Be like, listen, this is what this guy said to me. He doesn't want to help you.
Right.
That's such a good idea, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay.
Also, listen, I don't like saying stuff like this, but if this is what they're gonna do and take everything away from us, what are we paying taxes for?
Precisely.
I mean,
I hear that in my soul. We're supporting a system that isn't
Right.
supporting us. Why are we allowing it to continue? That's crazy. That makes so much sense.
Laura, are we good? Because I'm right at that spot. Okay, because I'm going to get into the save act. Here's another thing. Yes, you need to vote, but you also need to fight for your right to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. So with the SAVE Act there, honestly, that is the craziest. That, I swear to God, did they just take that straight out of Project 2025?
Well, here's the thing. They introduced this
it's been
before.
around, actually.
This was introduced while Biden, I believe, was still in office. And now they are, I'm convinced, and I said this in my video this morning, that they want to ram this through before the midterms. Okay. So this law will disenfranchise millions upon millions upon millions of American people. It will literally purge the voter rolls. And this law must be blocked. Now, I don't know if it even passes in the House. It might. They have a majority, a 3-seat majority. But I do know that the Democrats have blocked other laws in the Senate, and the Democrats must block this bill in the Senate. They must block this bill. This is inherently anti-democratic. This is fascist beyond belief right here.
Look, people have been saying the Democrats have to grow a pair. And I've been, all right, calm down. But in this case, this is one of those cases in which I absolutely agree. They need to use a filibuster on this thing. They have to somehow block it somehow.
The thing is that they will need 60 votes to pass this. They don't have 60.
No.
So the Democrats need to block this bill. They have blocked other bills under this particular regime in the Senate, and they can block this too. They need to block this bill. So my notice to everyone is get on the phone, because while they're doing all this flooding of the zone, they've reintroduced this in the House. and it's coming. And you need to start dogging your representatives right now, regardless of what party they're in.
Right. And also, no matter how much support they've given it, okay, Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand, I already know that they're fighting against this thing. However, you still contact them.
Yeah, you do.
And Laura, I'm telling you right now that I have the information. I truly believe that two of the senators that could, two of the Democratic senators that could vote for this thing are in your state. So if you please can contact them and say, do not support this bill, and push whoever, say, do not support this bill.
Gallego,
It can
right?
help because Mark Kelly and
Gallego, right?
And Gallego, they're wild cards in this thing. Three of the Republican House reps in Arizona, let's go Saw, Biggs, and I can't remember the third one.
Hobbs, is it Hobbs?
No, it's not Katie Hobbs.
Katie
No,
Hobbs
I don't know. I can't remember. There's names are not my forte. I'm not going to lie. I have to
Me
look it
neither.
up. But
No,
bottom
but
line,
it's
it's
in
going to
here somewhere.
happen.
Yeah.
No, that's not a problem, without question. That is my goal this week. This week, I'm doing all my phone calls, and it's okay to continue to make the phone calls. Don't just make them once. We're not done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, by the way, you can also contact Chuck Schumer and tell him to rein in his dogs. Okay, he can put pressure on those senators.
Doing it, putting it on my little list. Moving over real quick. All right. All over.
And thank AOC for being all over this too. And by the way, it's okay to tell people thank you. It's all right. So let's get into it a little bit. SAVE Act could stop millions of women from voting. And by the way, not only Democratic women, Republican women get married too.
Actually, as I've said before, more Republican women change their name to their husband's name than liberal women. Okay. This bill affects Democrats, Republicans, and independents. This is
it's an anti-woman bill. It really is.
It is an anti-voting bill, is what this is.
Oh yeah. Well, if you take away the woman's vote, they can get away with their diabolical plan.
Yep.
So what did I say? Support the asshole vote everywhere act. That's what I called it. But my thing is it's not just women. It's people who've been kicked out of their apartment. It's immigrants. It's transgender population. It is different people. It is people who are elderly and have been put in hospice care. If let's say their house has been foreclosed on or whatever, the most vulnerable this will affect.
What the biggest thing is that the two pieces of documentation that you have to show are either a birth certificate or a passport. Let me explain what this means. No more license, no more tribal IDs, no more military IDs. They can't be used anymore, okay? So it's either a birth certificate or a passport. Less than half of the U.S. population owns a passport as of today. All right? Okay. Now, my advice to you is get yourself a passport before this bill even gets introduced anywhere. All right? Before it goes in for discussion. Get your passport in the works now. If you have an expired passport, get it done. All right?
Now, some people might not be able to get a passport for one reason or another. Maybe they can't get themselves to a post office to get it done. However,
maybe they can't afford a passport.
Maybe they can't afford a passport. All right. So if you know a family member that needs a little help them out, drive them to the place, whatever, if they're willing to do it. And I'm going to tell some of my local people, Stop talking. Oh, well, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Oh, it's just such an inconvenience.
Right now,
That's
we
what
don't
they
care about
want.
inconvenience. Get it done.
That's what they want.
Yep. If it's different, they're going to make it more difficult. It's just to discourage everybody.
And 90
And then,
million people, by the way, in November of 2024 who could register to vote and
and
exercise
didn't.
their democratic process chose not to. So, look, folks, we don't need any more impetus to not get up off the sofa. We've got plenty of people who are willing to, not
Right.
vote simply because, oh, I don't know. It was a shit show. That's what I heard. It was a shit show. Well, now you're in the soup, honey. So perhaps you should have taken care of it when it was a shit show and we weren't all boiling in the broth, because that's really where we are right now.
Now
100%.
the next source that I have, it's one of Deb's bones of contention, and I'm putting it on the screen to show that the argument is bullshit. Now, what do I mean by one of Deb's bones of contention? Blah blah blah. It's the Daily Signal. It is the Heritage Foundation's rag, but I want to debunk it, quickly. And they say stuff like, "Oh, fact check." All right, hold on. All these guys look like weasels. I
I was going
swear.
to say that. They're all
They kind of do.
they're little ferret-faced motherfuckers is what they are.
Okay, fact check. Left legacy media claim GOP wants to block women voting. I never said that. I never said that. They're making it more difficult, but you're not, quote unquote, technically blocking them. This is BS, complete BS.
It is. They would love to have nobody vote, actually, if you really want the freaking truth. Okay.
Trump already said it too.
Now, I wanted to mention this because I actually complained to Deb. I can't find any information on how the SAVE Act would affect the transgender population, but Deb can talk about it briefly.
Okay, so I can talk about it because my daughter's name has changed. She is
Right.
transgender. So she is no longer using her dead name. She's using Gwendolyn Della Piana, which is her name. I went to court. I paid the fee. I got the documentation. She has changed on her Social Security. She is all good to go. I had absolutely no problem at Social Security. It was a routine matter, was not an issue. What I can tell you is that now, as I have mailed in her birth certificate to be changed, this whole SAVE Act comes up. And Donald Trump, in the meantime, has signed an executive order that says that the passport cannot have the name change on it. It has to be the original name that you were born with. So here's a problem, okay? This is a problem. It's a federal law, and the passport is a federal item. It's not a state item. Right. So this is where we are right now here. And look, this law, just as with women who changed their name to their husband's name, this law does not give you any provision for being able to go and register with your birth certificate with Mary Smith on it. And if you are now Mary Jones because you're married, to show that you were Mary Smith on the birth certificate, but you are now Mary Jones because you took your husband's name. They're not giving you that opportunity, just as I won't be able to go with my daughter and say, this is her new name, but here's the paperwork that shows I changed her name. None of that counts. It's just a straight birth certificate or a passport with your legal name on it. End of story. They're not entertaining any documentation you may have to show a different name. They don't give
By the way, yet one more constitutional crisis.
Yep.
And furthermore, it affects disabled people. They're talking about
Yes.
in person.
Yes.
On top of the documentation. So people like myself, very specifically, you're telling me to go down to an office with my disability. That's going to almost prevent me from doing it because of how disabled.
And this means if you're doing something as simple as going from independent to Democrat, if you want to change your party affiliation, you have to show up in person with your documents. You cannot do it online anymore. You
That's
can't submit
crazy.
your documents online anymore. All right.
If
you move 5 streets over and you have to change your precinct, you have to go down there with your documents, even though you've already been registered once. They can't just transfer you. You have to go with these documents. This is what they're doing under the guise of, making sure our elections are secure. All right. So let's not even go there.
And then military members too. Think about that.
Right.
That's going to affect them.
Right. So military IDs can no longer be used. If you are a member of Native American nation, no more tribal IDs can be used.
And then when they're actually when they're on oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Basically when they're out at war, and I can't think of the word right now for anything.
Right.
What's that?
I was just gonna.
I know. I can't think of it.
When they are deployed.
I'm all discharged. No, yeah. When they're deployed, when they're wanting to vote, how the heck are they going to come back and do that?
Now, I will say this. This law pertains to federal elections.
Okay.
Okay, House races, Senate races, and the presidency.
That's the big one too. And all of them really matter when you think about it. Even the quote unquote small ones really aren't small, because if they turn everything red.
Right.
So really they all matter. So it doesn't matter which ones we're talking, they all matter. So with that said, it affects an array of people. Just the biggest portion. I've heard different numbers. I've heard 69%. I've heard 80% married women.
So here's the deal. 69% of married women will be affected by this. Okay?
Because some of them didn't take the surname, did they?
Right.
Is that right?
Oh, okay. So 69% of women, more Republican women and Republican-leaning women take their husbands' names. Fewer liberal and liberal-leaning women, Democrats, few Democratic-leaning women change their names. Okay.
Right.
They don't.
Yeah.
Women who have hyphenated their name, they get married. Mary Smith Cates. When you get to that level, then it affects 84% of women in the United States.
Oh my Lord.
Okay.
Oh, that's so bad. I mean, it was already bad, but that's even over 80. We're getting really
So ladies, all I can tell you is this. Stop carrying the water for the patriarchy. You don't need to change your name just because you get married. And by the way, better still, don't get fucking married. Okay?
Honestly, do what you want to do with your life. Don't even have to shave your legs. That's another patriarchy thing. Take away everything, okay?
That's right.
Just everything that you've ever thought about what a woman is, just erase it and just get out there and stop this from happening. Right. It is crazy. Everything has been a lie from the beginning, ladies. So now is our chance to go ahead and fight back and stop it. They've already, the quiet part doesn't even exist anymore. If we go full on
feminists that'll drive the GOP nuts, they hate feminists.
Oh, well then.
Let's do it.
I'm their best friend then.
Right. Potato sack wearing activism. It's wear a potato sack.
That's right.
Whatever. But what I will say is that my wife Lynn and myself, we got married in 1995. Yes, she took my name. And right now, she has mobility issues. So, yeah. Now we have some time to take care of whatever we need to take care of, but you shouldn't have to do this.
Right.
And in
by
the
any
same
stretch
breath,
of the
all hands
imagination.
on deck.
Right.
Right.
When
Now,
we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have to do this. These people came in, took over, and they're just hiring all these freaking unqualified weirdos with records and problems at their jobs. And don't get me started. All hands on deck. We shouldn't have to, but here we are.
Right.
okay, so
We have to play the cards we're dealt. We have to
right,
do it.
right. Last night, Deb and I had a discussion because Deb was like, Dave, you got to take a look at this thing. Somebody dropped something in one of our groups. It was a documentary called Rigged. All right. It is about the suppression of the vote over time. I believe they started from like 2008 because of Obama.
Because of
But
Obama.
yes, now this is not about this presidential election. There is another quote unquote documentary called Rigged 20. This is not it. This has politicians in it, like Stacey Abrams. It has Jeffrey Wright, if you know him from Westworld. He's the guy who played the robot, just so you know. He's in it. Jim Lehrer from PBS NewsHour, he endorsed it. I watched about a half hour of it. I understand what they're saying, that they have been suppressing the vote and gerrymandering and trying to manipulate everything because they know their policies are not popular.
Right.
They're not.
They're not. They never have been.
They would never be. They don't make any sense.
So just take a look at it. What I will say also is that the group that we had, there was a link that I had, but I guess I don't have it on here. I'll put the video in, the YouTube video in, but I want to make sure people get the right one. We could not endorse or say that the source that this came from is valid. We have no idea. But I took a look at it, and I truly believe this is solid information.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, take a look at it if you guys are interested. But the SAVE Act is part of this.
Right. It's all part of this game. All part of this game. And by the way, a really good group to follow when it comes to, gerrymandering is Democracy Docket, Mark Elias.
Right.
They have been fighting gerrymandering across the South in court for a long time now. They win a lot, they lose some, depending upon who the judge is. But they're a very, very, very good organization to follow. And their dogged determination to make it possible for everybody to vote in this country.
And that's what they do. This is their wheelhouse. 14 states sued to block Elon Musk's. I call it doggy because they're bending us over. I mean, I'm just saying. Claim unconstitutional abuse of power.
Right.
I'm just saying, So, and by the way, I'll just drop this out there. Don't listen to Greg Palast.
Yeah, don't.
Okay. He used this movie to say that the election was stolen by Trump. Okay. He's using 2008 numbers. It's already been debunked. All right. Don't go there. By David Pakman.
You can't.
Don't go there.
Don't go there because you know what? This didn't happen. Whether or not segments of the country were gerrymandered or not isn't the point. The point is 77 million people voted for Trump. 75 million people voted for Kamala Harris. Okay. That's the way the vote is shaked out. Nobody flip votes. You know, yes, gerrymandering has been a big part of the reason why Republicans win, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe the Republicans could win a legitimate election if they didn't have gerrymandering. So the goal here is to stop gerrymandering as a process. We need to stop it.
Now, again, I don't want to make this like an indivisible an advertisement for the group, but this is one good group to look at. And one of their strengths is strategy. Okay, this in regards to Doge and how we attack Doge. And I believe Deb and I are probably we're going to do something on Doge and some of the other things in the coming weeks.
Yep.
So I'm going to read this. House Democrats have leverage if they use it. Republicans cannot pass a budget without the Democrats. And by the way, do not, under any circumstances, come to me and say, well, you know, we could have government services if it wasn't for the Democrats. Shut up. Because people have been bashing them for not having a spine.
Look,
Yes,
whatever happens with this budget, the Republicans have the House and the Senate. Whatever the fallout is, this is the Republican Party's fault. Period.
They asked for this. They voted for this.
It's right.
We have
so whatever, what may, we're
Right.
going to try and stop it. And I'll tell you, that's crazy sauce that anyone would ever even vote for this or even thought that any of this was okay.
Right.
We have 3 House seats, 3 coming up, 2 in Florida, 1 in New York. And I don't want to hear, well, you know, there's no way we're going to be able to win one. I don't want to hear that defeatist crap. Do you have any idea how the Republicans got their party where they are? By being tenacious, by having no shame whatsoever, and
Exactly.
pushing their agenda.
They actually don't have any shame. They don't care what you think. They just keep going. They're the Energizer Bunny of organizing. And you know what? The Democrats can learn a lot from them. And we need to start using their tactics to defeat them. That's how we have to play.
Right.
Use their own cards against them. Use their own book. That's exactly right. When we need to get tougher because it's not working the way it is.
Right.
So I'm going to read this thing and then hit the bullet points down here. Republicans can't pass a budget without Democrats. Any funding bill that passes the Senate must clear the 60-vote filibuster. And by the way, Deb and I were bashing Maserati Mansion and Cinema for voting against ending the filibuster. We may have been wrong on that.
May have been wrong on that, but the Democrats have to
all
use
the other crap. Yeah. Oh yeah. They need to use it. They have to use it. I agree. Meaning Senate Republicans will be forced to compromise with Democrats. That bill will not be the full MAGA wish list. It will be a negotiated deal. Here's the problem for House Republicans. As soon as the bill looks even remotely reasonable, hardline MAGA extremists will revolt. The House Freedom Caucus will refuse to vote for anything that doesn't include extreme cuts and right-wing poison pills. That means the Republicans' razor-thin 218 to 215 majority won't be enough to pass a budget on their own. If just 3 Republicans defect, the bill dies. Their chaos and dysfunction have already divided them. We saw it. We saw it recently with, Kevin McCarthy, and then, the little religious idiot from, Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah. And they were trying to get rid of Mike Johnson. So there's people who are supposedly MAGA and supposedly GOP threatening House reps who vote just an inch differently than what Trump wants.
Right.
So just saying. Yeah, the chaos and dysfunction has already divided them. Democrats must not bail them out. And we must not pressure them pass the budget as soon as possible. Okay? We have to be steadfast on this thing.
Right.
Because that's how we survive. We are currently in survival mode. Republicans will need Democratic votes to pass a budget, and that gives Democrats enormous leverage. The reality is there are still Republicans out there that actually listen to their constituents. Just saying. Oh my God. I mean, they may be heinous, but they still listen to them. So
good.
The GOP civil war is a gift. Exploit it. It's eating itself alive. Far right-wing caucus demanding cuts, while vulnerable Republicans fear the backlash of a shutdown.
Right.
Shutdown.
By the way, there are Republicans who have won razor-thin victories in Democratic states. Those people are subject to pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
The shutdown deadline is the GOP's problem to solve.
I quite agree.
And the last one, Trump and his billionaire buddies want to steal the budget. Now, look, I had this conversation last night with some people. Russ vote is in. They could hire Musk to be part of the OMB. Is basically what they're doing is part of the OMB. But they're trying to ram this guy through and have him, rip wires out and try to destroy the system without going through the channels.
Just understand
because they don't care.
Understand one thing. They want to cut all of this stuff from the American people for one reason only. The 2017 tax cuts to billionaires expires this year. They have promised them a bigger tax cut and to make it permanent. They need to find trillions of dollars somewhere, and they're certainly not going to cut Elon Musk's defense budget where they could cut the defense budget, which is bloated. Right. Most of it that is bloated is going to him.
Yeah.
Okay?
On purpose, I'm sure.
Okay? SpaceX. All right? That's a huge piece of the defense budget. They're not looking to cut that. They're looking to cut this out of the hides of the American people. We must not allow that to happen. This whole budget thing is not about finding government waste. It's about tax cuts for billionaires. All right? And Elon Musk is one of those billionaires, and he gave Trump $271 million to get his ass elected. So he stands to gain. Mark Zuckerberg is another one. Jeff Bezos is another one. Okay? There are, I don't know how many billionaires in America, 600, 700 now. I'm not sure how many.
Yeah.
That's all. They run the show. And there are 377 million of us. 600 versus 377 million. And what they're concerned about is not us, but them. So let's be clear about what all this looking for government waste is.
Right. Well, there is one secondary thing. I do believe that it's a benefit to them to cut off our resources because when we're in pain, we tend to focus more on ourselves and less about what's going on the outside.
That's true.
So that's part of it too. So state of play, this is another indivisible thing. You could take a look at it later. And why did we talk so long about the SAVE Act? Because of this. Okay. This is the 2025 election calendar. You may say, well, Dave, it's an off year. It doesn't matter.
There are no more off years. There are no more off years. We don't have to wait for 2026 in the midterms. There are three House seats up right now in 2025. Okay.
So there's There's two in Florida, the Florida 1st and the Florida 6th. Gay Valamont is running in the 1st. Deb, do you remember the name of the person who's running in the 6th?
Josh.
I don't remember.
Josh Weil.
I think so.
Yeah.
And we're going to cover this. We're going to cover this later. A lot of mayoral primaries.
Including
and a lot of
my
these,
state, Boston.
right, including Boston.
Yeah.
There's some Virginia gubernatorial, or there's some gubernatorial primaries like Virginia, New Jersey. The New York mayoral primary, Eric Adams needs to go, period. He is a stain on the Democratic Party. And I'll be shocked if he doesn't move to the Republican Party, to be completely honest with you.
By the way, the DOJ has ordered them to drop the charges against him.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Now,
the Republican DOJ has ordered the DOJ has ordered them to drop the case against Eric Adams. Just so you
That's
know.
freaking crazy.
Now, I don't know the specifics, but there is a way for Kathy Hochul to remove him from office. I don't know how that happens, but here's the bottom line. People are like, impeach Eric Adams. You know how you impeach him? Put him out.
Get rid of him.
Right.
Honestly, the whole Doge thing needs to be taken apart. The whole there's so many people that need to go. Period. It's absolutely making me nuts. I don't know how everyone else feels, but these people shouldn't even be there in the first place. This is a nightmare.
It is.
Well, the bottom line is that the longer this goes on, and the more people start hurting, and the more people start getting angry, this could turn very, very quickly. Once, and I said it before, 2 weeks ago, an Iowa State Senate seat was flipped from GOP
to Democrat.
Good.
People notice those things.
By the way, farmers are already unhappy
Correct.
with the choice of voting for Trump. There's an excellent article by a farmer in one of the Kansas newspapers, and I'm going to post that tonight.
Okay.
It's good. It's a good one.
Okay.
So farmers are already going through enough. So we've already got a food shortage that might be coming up here in March too.
That's right.
Right. And food insecurity is going to be an issue. I tell you what, maybe neighborhood potlucks come back. I don't know. But, you know,
that's
that
a
kind of
fabulous idea. Honestly, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
But that's what we have. Laura, if you could stick around for a few minutes,
I've got
that'd be great.
Kiddo hasn't showed up yet. We're okay. He's at his friend's house.
That's what we have right now. Take care of yourself. Reach out when you can. If you see your neighbor in trouble, help them out if you can. You show some kind of kindness. If they, if they're nasty to you, then okay. But you reach out, show some kindness, and we can get this back. We have to get this back.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we will be back next week, but listen, subscribe to the channel. We're not monetized. We don't ask you for money. We don't run commercials on, supplements that help you grow your hair back. We don't do any of that stuff. We're not interested in that. We're interested in getting the word out and getting people moving forward. So please subscribe to the channel. The worst that you're going to get from us is an email saying there's a new video. You choose to watch it or you don't. Okay?
Right.
All right, gang. We'll see you next week.